provides spiritual guidance to the director and the chapter. Okay, you're an officer of the post, or I should say, you're an officer of the chapter. Okay, now it is a required position. Your chapter can't exist without a chaplain anymore. It used to be that the chaplain was an afterthought. You know, it's, oh, hey, you're chaplain. Okay, because we have to have somebody give prayer, at the meetings, and we have to have somebody, pray before we want to ride. Provide opening and closing prayers at all riders' meetings and before all rides. If your chapter is not praying before you go on a ride, you need to start. Okay? Even if your group is not a religious, the people that there are not religious, believe me, the chaplain gets out there, everybody bow your heads and say prayer, they'll all thank you for it afterwards, especially if you're asking for safe travels while they're riding. Okay? And the other thing that the rider's chaplain needs to do is provide backup for the other entities. The post chaplain, the son's chaplain, the auxiliary chaplain. Okay? The auxiliary is a separate entity. Their chaplain does all the auxiliary stuff. But what happens if they're not available to do something? And the post chaplain's not available to do something? You're a chaplain. You can fill that position because the guidance for all of them are the same. If I'll get that over tomorrow. Okay, so the first thing was provide spiritual guidance. How is the chaplain selected? And this was done up last year before we changed the SOP and everything. But the chaplains are either elected or appointed in keeping with the specific standard operating procedure of your chapter. Majority of them are going to be now, I think, elected because of the way the SOP is written. Okay, it used to be that the chaplains were appointed, but it is a required position. So whether it's appointed or elected, it doesn't really matter. Okay, must the chaplain be ordained? No. Okay, there's nothing in the American Legion that says you have to be an ordained minister to be a chaplain. All you have to do is be willing to serve. Now, the person serving in the position should have and should demonstrate a willingness or a sense of spiritual maturity. They should have some faith and spirituality about that. Okay? The chaplain will not, the person should be committed to the chaplaincy and know what it's all about, because if not, then you're really not providing spiritual direction to the director or the membership. Characteristics of a chaplain: should be a caring person, a desire to help others. They gotta want to do the job. The chaplain should have a positive attitude towards his or herself. Knowing that attitudes show, and everybody has an attitude, and we all know about attitudes. They're like, okay. All chaplains should be proud of their position and determined to do a good job. Okay, does it mean you have to be a perfect person?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, I know a lot of ordained ministers that are not perfect people. I'm one. Okay. The chaplain ought to be willing to serve where they're needed. We can't be selective on what we do. It doesn't matter if you have personal conflicts with somebody in the post or in your chapter. You're there. You have a responsibility as being in that officer position, and you can't only serve when it's convenient for you. Because a lot of times things don't happen on your schedule. Somebody dies. Okay, they need spiritual help. If you can provide it, you provide it. Okay. Remember that the chaplain's door should always be open. Now, does that mean you have to drop everything that moment and take care of it? No. but you should be available to your membership. If they've got a need, they need to be able to pick up a phone and call you. If they get your voicemail and leave you a message, return their message when you get a chance. Talk to them. That may be all they need, is somebody to talk to. Okay? You are a counselor of some sorts. You've got to be somebody that can keep personal matters personal. Okay? You can't be someone who goes up to the bar and talks to everybody about everybody. Okay? That doesn't look good on the chaplaincy itself. It doesn't look good on you as a person. Okay? And it would really taint people's view of you as a spiritual advisor if I'm going to tell you something that's really, really hard for me, and then you're going to go blab it to everybody in the post at the bar because you got drunk and said something. Okay, you lose your integrity immediately when something like that happens. I've seen chaplains that people will not go to because of that one issue. They'll sit there, they're everybody's buddy. They sit there at the bar and they talk to everybody, and they tell everybody everything about everybody else. No, you can't do that kind of stuff.
You should almost look at it like you're a priest, like the priest when I like a confession.
But if you're talking, if somebody's talking to you about a spiritual matter or something that's going on with them, you need to keep it in confidentiality.
Right.
It needs to stay confidential. Chaplains should seek to be neutral when helping settle disputes. Okay, a legionnaire should never be political when serving in the capacity of chaplain. We all have our own political views. We have our own views about things that happen in the post, in the country or in the nation or things like that. If you are doing something and your own political views come out, you need to make sure that these are my own personal political views. These are not the views of the American Legion, the American Legion Auxiliary, the Sons of the American Legion, the Riders of the American Legion. This is my own personal. Okay, because you got to figure out a way to keep them separate. So it's like, if you see your pastor at your church, okay, out at some rally downtown, and that goes against what you're going to think twice about that pastor. Well, you're pastoring to the membership of your church, of your chapter. Okay, so you have to try to stay as neutral in things as possible. Okay, you're there to help with conflict resolution, not to further add fire to the conflict. Okay? You got to look at things from both sides. This is one of my favorite ones. It's helpful, but it's not necessary that you be a public speaker. I hate talking in front of people. I get dry mouth. I start stuttering over words. It's not. I was a teacher for 16 years. I can do it in front of kids all day long. Adults is my problem. Okay? Adults seem to be a little bit more judgmental of the way you do things. So, if you can't stand up in front of a group and pray off the top of your head, that's okay. It's fine to have something right there in front of you to read. If you were here at the opening yesterday morning, okay? I read from this one. This actually is the Veterans of Foreign Wars manual, but pretty much everything is pretty much all the same. One of the prayers that I gave came out of this manual. I'm standing there, all I did, everybody get their heads bowed, I look down. I'm reading it, okay? It's okay. That is quite fine. No one should be appointed or elected as a chaplain against their will, unless you're my wife. Neither should a person accept a position just to hold an office. That came about because of the fact that now the chaplain is a required position. You don't want to just throw somebody in the position to have somebody in the position. They've got to be willing to do the job, because there are sometimes it can get extremely heavy, and it's got to be a person that can handle those type of situations and is prepared to do what they need to do. Chaplain should seek to be a model in the matters related to the ethical and the moral. Again, does that mean you have to be perfect? No. Okay. Can you drink? Of course you can. Okay. You haven't taken a vow of sobriety. Now, if you don't want to drink, then don't drink. But if it's something that you normally do, that's fine. But in your capacity as a chaplain, you should not be staggering drunk when you're in an official function. Okay, because it does look bad on you. It looks bad on the commander, although a lot of times they don't care. But those are the types of things you got to look out for. When one does not live up to either expectation or set standards of conduct, it reflects adversely on the unit served and on the American Legion as a whole, whether it be the Auxiliary of the Sons or the American Legion, whatever capacity that you're working in, they see you as that. Well, he's a Legionnaire. He acts like that? It's just not. Second thing that we do, we provide prayer. Okay? We provide, faith is an integral part of the American Legion, but religion is not. You do not have to be a religious person. You do need to be a faithful person. You have to have some faith, some belief. Okay? It doesn't have to be the same as everybody else around you. Okay? But it is an integral part of the Legion. Faith. Opening and closing prayers of meetings is a part of the rituals of the American Legion. First thing they do, 3 raps of the gavel, everybody stands up, hand salute, everybody uncover, chaplain, prayer. That's the very opening of every meeting in the American Legion, the Auxiliary, and the Sons. And it should be of the Riders too. Okay? At the very end of the meeting, anything else, anything for the good of the order? Nothing? Okay. Everybody stand up, uncover, chaplain. And then we close out. That's the ritual of the American Legion. Okay? Prayer should be as basic as possible for the situation at hand without regard to denominational bias. And what I talk about that is because everybody knows this whole issue within the Christian faith itself. You have the Catholics on one end. You have Protestants spread out all the rest of the way down throughout the whole thing. One thing people don't realize is that they're all Christians. Okay? That's the same within the Jewish community. You have your Hasidic Jews, they're one way. And you have your fundamentalist Jews, they're another way. But they all worship the same God. Okay? And that's what we have to keep in mind. Whether Muslim, Jewish, Christian, Hindu, Buddhist, it doesn't really matter. Okay? We all have faith in something. And that's what we're actually pulling out. That's what we're there to help with. Okay? Prayers. Every Legionnaire knows that the chaplain gives the invocation and the benediction at the meetings. As I was saying before. What prayers should be given? Should be limited to the ones written and found in our manuals. Because every one of these manuals right here, there is a section that says invocations, benedictions, table graces, for this situation, for this situation, for this situation. They are a very good resource. And if you have every one of these manuals at your disposal, you probably won't run out of prayers for a year. But sometimes situations aren't covered in the book. They aren't there. They aren't there for, something that's there for you to read. Does that mean you can't go to another website somewhere or to a denominational website and pull up a prayer about something? You just have to know your audience and know who you're talking to. Read it first, make sure it says everything you want it to say, and then go with it. Okay? It is always acceptable and fitting to use your own prayers, provided they are in good taste. Look out teeth, look out gums, open the mouth and here it comes. I don't know. Those are funny things, but that doesn't fit in a formal setting, okay? You should always be aware of the ecumenical nature of your constituency. That being, you should know what your makeup is of the group you're talking to. If the majority of the people in your group have a Christian faith, say a Christian prayer. If the majority of your group is agnostic, well, maybe don't use certain words when you pray, okay? The majority of our membership have a Christian background. I'm not saying that they are Christians, but they have a Christian background. It is okay to use a Christian prayer for the majority of our things. But if your host is a majority Muslim, okay, hey, use Muslim prayers.
Would it be appropriate, because I've been doing this for 2 years now, but would it be appropriate for me to go back to my post and say, these are some of my beliefs, I am a Christian. Is anybody there opposed to anything that I have said, because I don't want to offend anybody?
You could. You don't have to, but that is a good way to show total inclusiveness.
That I care about everybody.
But you care about everybody, no matter what their faith is, no matter what their belief system is. Okay, that's knowing the ecumenical nature of your constituency. Okay, enough about prayer. I'll talk about prayer a little bit more as we go along. Regardless of your affiliation, you need to be willing to help out. Whether you're an auxiliary member, whether you're a member of the Sons, whether you are a member of the Legion. As the rider's chaplain, you need to be prepared and willing to step in to help them whenever needed, if they need something. A lot of times that they may have questions themselves, because, like I said, none of those that are in that position are really trained to do their position. There's no real formal training. Yes, there's a class at convention, there's a class at fall conference that talks about Chaplain's Handbook. That's pretty much all it is. If you've got any questions, refer to Chaplain's Handbook. I've been through that class a couple times. I'm like, yeah, there's some more stuff that I need to know. Okay, one, where do I get the Chaplain's Handbook? Be willing to fill in as needed. If the post chaplain asks, help them out. If the auxiliary chaplain asks, help them out. Okay, however you can help out. Our task is to serve and minister where there is a need. The chaplain, being on the staff of the director, is a spiritual advisor for all members of the chapter. Okay, you've got to take a look at all of your riders and be willing to help them out. Be available to help the post, auxiliary, sons, chaplains to perform their duties. Sometimes you might know something that they don't, and you're able to help them out, help them through situations. Gentleman yesterday in the meeting, he was asked to do a Catholic service, a Catholic funeral service. Well, he's a Lutheran. He really didn't know all of the rites and all of what was required for a Catholic funeral service. He went and found him a Catholic priest and asked for some help. The Catholic priest came in, gave all the rites, and then the chaplain finished the service. Okay? You can help. You can get people to help you out. Okay. This is, Mike was making a comment about this, because this helped him out last year when he was in the class. As a chaplain, you should keep records of everything that you do in that position, as you're doing your duties in that position. That being, if you sent out cards and letters as the chaplain, make a list of them. You don't have to give details about it. Send a card to this person, send a card to this person, okay, whatever. Telephone calls that you've made in the interest of the chaplaincy. You've called to check on an ill member. Keep a record of it. There's reasons why. Miles that you've traveled, hours that you've spent doing chaplain's activities, money that you've spent on travel, cards, postage, telephones, everything like that. The reason you're keeping this is because your director needs to know this information so that they can give an accurate report to your post commander, and the post commander goes to fill out the consolidated post report. Because the American Legion Riders is a program of the American Legion, everything that the riders do falls under the American Legion. All your hours, all your volunteer hours, all your volunteer time, all the money that has been spent in performing that service gets reported on the end of your reports by the post. Okay? There will be times when you must go above and beyond the American Legion to obtain the necessary resources needed to do your, like I said, sometimes you may have to go seek out a Catholic priest because you don't know all the things for a Catholic funeral. You might have to go find a shaman because of someone's belief. You might have to go find a rabbi. Okay, it all depends on the situation. Okay, if you feel comfortable jumping through and researching and doing all that stuff, by all means, go ahead and do so. But if they are really set in their beliefs and their ways, and this is what they need to have that fulfillment in their belief, you need to help them out as best as you can. Okay? Each chaplain should be aware of the resources available in their community. Know where the synagogue is. Know where the mosque is. Know where the churches are. Know where the temples are for different things. And try to make contact with those leaders in those positions. Because they're a resource to you, and you can be a resource to them. Okay? Okay. Chaplain should participate in as many of the following things that are done. This all comes out of the Service to God and Country, the Chaplain's Handbook, Service to God and Country. There's a list in here of all the different programs that chaplains should. And again, this is when you take a look at the way that the riders do their ceremonies. It's almost a mirror image of the post. Okay, so when the post is celebrating for chaplains and religious emphasis week. Okay? Help out. At installations. Okay? There's a part for prayer, there's a part for passing on and giving information. Checking in on ill and shut-in members, disabled, providing funeral memorial support services. One thing that's not up there, you can't perform weddings unless you are ordained or a notary public. Okay? But I was asked by a rider member, well, you're the rider's chaplain. How much of a chaplain actually are you? I go, what do you mean by that? Can you perform weddings? I go, no. But if you want me to perform your wedding, I can figure out a way to make sure that I'm able to do it legally. So I went and became a notary. And then I got to thinking about it. And then I went and got ordained. So I am an ordained minister. I do perform weddings. I do perform funerals. But I'm also a notary public, so I do all that stuff too. But I've done that so that if somebody asks, I can help them out. That's one of those going above and beyond what the position requires. Because they were friends. They really wanted the whole riders community at their wedding, and they wanted the chaplain to perform it. I said, okay, I'll see what I can do. I'll do what I got to do to make sure it happens. When do you plan on doing the wedding? They gave me the date. I said, I'll have everything squared away by that date. By the time their wedding date came up, I'd already done 3 other weddings. 4 riders at my post. So, yeah, there are things that you can do. Again, do you have to be ordained? No. In order to do certain things legally, yeah, you probably do. but fulfill the duties of a chaplain within the organization? No. What do you say?
How should I prioritize it? At my post, I am also on the honor guard.
Okay.
Okay, so I've been asked to do chaplain stuff. I've been asked to, because my voice is so loud and obnoxious, I've been asked to speak about the dearly departed and say a few nice things about them. But then I'm supposed to be 20 yards away shooting. Do I take my chaplain duties above and beyond the honor guard?
That is,
just work it in when you can.
That's a personal preference. That's definitely a personal issue. Whichever one you feel more comfortable with doing. Me, I've done that. I was doing a funeral service. Okay, I was doing a memorial service. Well, in the memorial service, part of it, we go outside, we do a 21-gun salute because we get the local veterans group to come in and do the salute. Well, they were shy three rifles to do because they had 7 rifles. They only had 5 that day. I had a white shirt on and I looked like, white shirt and black pants, and I looked like one of them. They handed me a gun, and I got there and I shot. I went ahead and did all that. And then when I was done, I handed over my weapon. Everybody went back inside and we finished the service.
That's what I've been doing.
And,
I
so
didn't know which was one priority or the other.
If you're asked to do something in the capacity of a chaplain, the chaplain should take priority. If you're asked to do something in the capacity of the honor guard should take priority. Okay, so it all depends on what role you're fulfilling at the time. Okay. Okay. This is that list that I'm actually talking about in the chaplain's handbook. This is all of the events that chaplains should participate in throughout the calendar year. And again, this is, like I said, this is taken from the Service to God and Community Chaplain's Handbook. The big ones, even at the post level, the big ones. First Sunday of the month is For Chaplains Sunday, and that week that follows is Religious Emphasis Week. Okay, the whole idea behind the 4 chaplains, if you haven't looked at one of their ceremonies or participated in one of the ceremonies, it is very moving, it is very touching. When the Dorchester sank, those 4 were on the boat. And they stayed on the boat to make sure that everybody else got off the boat before it went down. And the 4 of them, so that's a really big one. Of course, March, the American Legion birthday. May, with Armed Forces Day, Memorial Day. July with Independence Day. September, Labor Day, yes and no, but it all depends. But November then becomes the big one with Veterans Day.
November 10th, Marine Corps birthday. I'm sorry.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm. Oops, sorry. The June 14th Flag Day. It's also the Army birthday, so we have all those ones too. So, all right. So, chaplaincy is essential to the work of the American Legion, Legion Riders, Auxiliary, all the rest of them. No program would be complete without it. The position of chaplain is an important one. Each chaplain should take pride in serving God and community. Be positive in your attitude towards the chaplaincy and the total work of the American Legion. Again, we are a program of the Legion. That's why I've emphasized American Legion. But in your capacity, if you are auxiliary or a son, same thing applies. Remember that all times you are to keep confidence. Keep everything that is told to you in confidence. Your integrity and that of your organization depends upon it. Chaplain's presence is needed at all events. Mingle with the people. Make it possible for members to easily connect with you. Hand out your business card. Okay? Hand out the chaplain if you need anything. Here's my card, contact me. Look sharp, be sharp. Properly wear your cap, your uniform. Okay? Take pride in it. make sure you look good while you're performing your duties. The chaplaincy is more than reading printed prayers, as important as that may be at regular scheduled events. It is also as important and productive that you are willing to make it. We exist to serve others. New opportunities for the chaplain's ministry are opening daily. The aging of our members makes it essential that we be alert for all services needed. Remember, our World War II vets are dying off daily. Our Korean vets are right behind them. And unfortunately, Vietnam vets got in some really nasty stuff, and they're going about the same rate as some of the others. Pretty soon we're going to be down to our current conflicts, that's it. Whatever current conflicts we have, those are the members we're going to have, okay? That hits on membership. We've got to get people into the organization, okay? And get people that are willing to step up and perform duties and do what they need to. Final statement, look like a chaplain, act like a chaplain, and be a chaplain. These are the resources. You don't have to limit to yourself to what's in here, but it's got computers, and there's a little thing on it that says Google. You need a prayer for something you can't find it. Prayer for, there it comes, a whole big list of, click on them. Yeah. Check them, read them, make sure they say what you want to say. Change words that you need to change to fit the situation that you're in. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? You don't have to reinvent the wheel every time you go to pray, or every time you go to do something. You can use somebody else's words. That's why they're printed in these manuals, so that you can use those types of things. Yeah, you must have something to read from, Google it. While we're out on rides, I don't read. I go from, what's there. But if I'm in a meeting, I read, because there's strictness to a lot of things that go on. Sometimes I do wing prayers at meetings. It all depends on how I feel at the time. Or if what I've got there doesn't fit with what I've been talking with some people around, it doesn't fit with what needs to be said at that time. It's okay. You don't have to be a public speaker. You don't have to be a very religious person. So, any questions?
Yes, I got a question about the Bible.
Okay.
Because within the Legion, because you have to follow basically the guideline of the American Legion. We don't. The auxiliary, we got our own guideline.
Right.
And there is nowhere, anywhere states that you have an open Bible within your meeting, because if you have a Bible in the meeting, you also have to have the Quran and also the other, like the Muslim, their kind of Bible. And so it's basically what I'm saying is about the Bible, there should be no Bible, right?
Well, technically, if you look at the setup for an American Legion meeting, the chaplain sits at a table, depending on how it's set up. The chaplain either sits up front with the commander or at a table to the side.
Right.
Okay? On his table is a Bible. Not open, there is a Bible.
But then the thing is, right, I agree with that,
Okay.
but it doesn't say it. I haven't read it, unless.
It's in the manual, I think it's in the manual of ceremonies.
Then I have to go into that,
yeah,
right? Because that's a big argument, and even within the auxiliary, that's an argument.
And again, if it's going to be an issue.
It is, some of it is, yeah.
Okay, what's the easiest way to resolve the situation? If it's important to some people that it be there, then it should probably be there. If it's not important, if it doesn't take away from anything that's going on,
Right.
then what harm is there?
The only thing is what I'm saying, there should be then a line saying, okay, yes and no, because they're saying, well, you're supposed to follow this, you're supposed to follow that, and it was confusing at a point.
Again, and that falls under knowing the makeup
Common
of
sense.
Common sense and knowing
Common
the makeup
sense,
of your makeup of your group.
Yeah.
Knowing who's there, what their religious affiliations are, what their faith backgrounds are.
Well, there is it's a non-denominational when you do prayers.
Right.
That's that's one of the things they've always preached to us,
Right.
is there's not enough, you don't say, you're not supposed to say, you know, in Jesus' name
In Jesus'
we
name.
pray.
I do only because that's where I come from. That's
It's
my belief.
supposed to be non-denominational.
But if you read a lot of these,
Mhm.
it's God
Right, or Lord.
or Lord,
Or Lord.
but not
That-
or
no,
Father.
Right.
It's
That's
not Christ,
Mhm.
Jesus. So they're as non-denomination, non-ecumenical as you can be, but yet still invoke the name of God in what
Right.
you're doing. Because this one right here, I mean, and it's I mean, I have it on me here. Yeah. American Legion motto. God
In
and
God
country.
we trust, yeah,
God and country.
right, God and
Okay,
country.
so
Correct.
God is an important part of everything that we do. So we have to keep those type of things.
Mhm.
Again, that's something something really needs to be done between your auxiliary president, the chaplain, and maybe one or two other members there, and decide what is best for your group.
Well, it's not just that, it's not just the auxiliary, we have a, I'm not gonna mention it, but there is a post that always has the Bible open. During meetings, during installations and all of that, so
Yeah.
it's like,
It says that there should be a Bible present, but does not open.
not open.
Yeah.
That's what
We
I,
have
that's what
one.
I thought.
We have one when I was at post 10,
Mhm.
and I'm fulfilling my duties as a chaplain. We have a shelf in the hall
Mhm.
where the Bible sits. There's the
Mhm.
Bible that sits up there. At the meeting, that Bible comes down, it's put down on the table,
But not open.
but not open. And then when it's done, that Bible comes up and goes right
Yeah,
back
put it
up.
back up,
If you
yeah.
look, if you look at the POWMIA table, there is a Bible on that table.
Right,
Can I take that back into
I
the meeting
wouldn't.
with me?
I would.
I wouldn't.
Would not.
I would not touch what's
No,
on that table.
you don't take anything off of the POW table. Do not touch that table.
Chair,
In
with the flag on it, the Bible's on the chair,
Sure.
and we have a ceremony, you know.
There you go. I mean, again, it depends on your
Which is that?
group. Okay. Okay. Like I said, all of these manuals that are here, I will be giving to Beverly so she can post up on the website. They're all in PDF format. They will be up when she gets all the resources finished up in there. I mean, this manual here has a lot of information in it. I mean, it's how to do a full chaplain service, how to do, how a funeral service should be performed, all those different things like that. The chaplain's prayer handbook, which is the American Legion, has prayers in it. Okay, it has ones that you can take and read. Also tells you how to fold a flag and what each fold represents, and that's something you can read while they're folding the flag. This flag represents it. So at a flag ceremony. Yep. Like I said, the auxiliary has the chaplain's manual and the chaplain's prayer book. Those are the two that are available. I like the Sun's myself only because it's small. It's compact. This is the Sun's manual. It's 24 pages. Okay, and it covers everything, ceremonies and prayers. And the one that I've been using, that I use here, and only because I find some of the things that they have, some of the things there, is the VFW. Okay? There's no difference between our groups except for how membership comes about. So when they have one in here that says, it says Veterans of Foreign Wars, well, you change that to American Legion Riders, American Legion Auxiliaries, Sons of the American Legion, whatever it may be, just change those words. The opening prayer that I did was out of this, and it has in there. It's the opening prayer for meetings. It has a parentheses around post, department, national, because you are to say one of those within that. So I scratched that all out. I said American Legion Riders Summit, Department of Florida. So I have my closing prayers in here. I have them. That's why y'all can't have these. I have them. Here's my little note. That's the closing prayer for tomorrow. Okay. I have 2 more listed for the meeting tomorrow morning at 8:30. So I have everything planned out so that I know what I'm going to say when I'm going to say it. So, any other questions?
In one sentence, The one thing that I have never done is kept a log with everything that I send out, or the phone calls that I make, or the hours, or the money that I spend, because I don't care about getting money back, but what is the importance of the manual, or of the law?
Of keeping the log, to provide tally information for the reports. So like I said,
You did say that.
everything you do as a rider chaplain falls under the post. So that information has to be given to the post commander to put on their the CPR,
The year-end report.
this year-end report. So money, total money. So all that money that you spent on cards and travel, that's donations. That is monetary donations that you have made to that service. Cards and letters and things like that, the numbers of those that you sent out, that's volunteer hours. The time that it took you to write and send those cards, the stamp that you put on it, that's donation. You know, unless the post is paying for that stuff, if you're paying for it out of your pocket,
Yeah.
those are donations. It also helps you at the end of the year, like they were saying in some of the other ones, it helps you at the end of the year because you can also take them off on your personal taxes because you're performing a volunteer service to do things.
Not anymore, I was told that.
Well, if you have enough
It's gotta be $4.99.
yeah, you gotta have enough to do the charitable donations
Right.
on your tax.
Right.
If you don't have $5,000 worth of charitable donations,
Right,
you
then
can't
forget about it.
you can't take it. You're better off to take the
Right.
$6,400 that
That's
is for
it,
the standard
because
deduction.
that's what they're told me.
But if you're able to itemize your deductions, then you need to have that information.
And you need the proof that you gave
Right.
that,
you
because
did.
there's that you need their
Right.
EIN number and all that, you have to, because that's what I was told, because I was doing my deductions as district president, you know, for certain things. You're better off just taking the 60, the
Yeah,
60.
I mean, my wife owns our company.
Yeah, go ahead.
You can turn that off.